Good evening, everyone. It's been just over a week since our last IGTV stream. Just setting up my phone so it doesn't fall down. And today we are going to talk about sketching again, my most favorite topic, of course. And I have a lovely Lora joining me today to talk about sketching, and her sketches are amazing. So I really hope that you will find our conversation very useful and inspiring. So I'm just going to go into this chat and we can start. Hi. Hello. Oh, it's still day in Canada, isn't it? 2 p.m.
It's a lovely afternoon here. I'm actually at the cottage, and it's super.
Oh, wow. Lovely. That's really nice. It's great to have people joining from all over the world. I think this is the first one I'm doing with Canada. So first one.
That's so.
Very Yes, indeed. Can you hear me well? I'm just wondering if the connection is okay.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
in and out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Right. So as based on my previous IG stream, so how we've done it before is we can basically all our questions. So maybe I can start question or you can start, and then we'll just alternate between each other. So maybe, let me start this conversation. That would be a good way to go. So my first question to you was, how did you learn to sketch? Do you have any artistic background? Because I saw your sketches and they look amazing. So that was the first that I wanted to ask.
So I've always had an interest in all things creative and artistic. I I attended art lessons, most of my extracurricular art lessons, most of my life. And so I just learned to sketch, practicing and just having fun. And
Ah,
then in my high school experience, I attended a high school that specialized in the visual arts. So I learned quite a bit there, and discovered interior sketching at some of the architectural classes and construction classes that I took. And that was
oh,
kind of how it started.
that's amazing. Because I also took up art subjects, but I didn't sketching, like I had to learn it myself. So it's very interesting that you went to school which had this kind of focus on like architectural interior sketching. I think that's trendy, I think, actually, for us to focus on that as well. So that's great. And as I understand, you're currently studying interior design, right? So you are doing a degree. Is it with BAIT, right?
Yes, it's a Bachelor of Interior Design program. So here in Canada, we have, or specifically Ontario, where I am, we have ARIDO, which is the Association of Registered Interior Designers of Ontario. So it is
Ah,
a ARIDO recognized program. So it's a little bit different than over there in Europe, but it is still pretty much the same thing.
cool. And does your degree teaches you how to sketch as well? Do classes that you attend, or like with people with absolute experience can learn something? How would you comment on that?
So most most of the programs that I applied to here in Ontario, they require you to submit a portfolio. And the portfolio, you have to, I included, I believe, a perspective drawing of a chair, a drawing of an interior, things like
Ah,
that. And so they request that, but it's with the understanding that, you're going to learn to sketch and you're going to learn and practice those skills for all 4 years.
hmm.
Obviously, they understand that it's a basic level, but I definitely think that that's where something like your courses would come in perfectly, because if you weren't sketching or you wanted to improve your learning on the basics, a refresher, build on your skills for that portfolio going into interior design, it would be incredible. I have had a few sketching classes and it's definitely built on that further, but learning outside of the classroom is always incredible as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So basically, in order to get onto the degree, you need to submit like a video with some sort of like basics, right?
Yeah,
Is basically the
it
requirement.
accepts the program.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and on the program, they also do how to, I don't know, apply perspective. Do they go into detail, or it's more like the basic sort of 1 point, 2 point?
So they assume that you know the basic 1 point and the basic 2 point, and you can sketch out your ideas a little bit clearly. But they
Ah,
definitely built on it a little bit. We get perspective grids, and a little bit of on shading with markers and pencil crayon. So it's a pretty basic level at the moment, but I have only completed my first. I assume that it gets more, it progresses further in second year, and then third and
mhm.
fourth, I believe, digital.
Ah, okay. I mean, your sketches look amazing. So, I mean, of course, there's always ways to improve, but it looks like you really, like spend time on them and you really learn how to do it. And it looks like sort of take like complex act well, which most of my students, when they join my courses, they don't know how to even like do 1 point most. So it's quite interesting. I think in the UK, a lot of people who take up interior design, they don't need to submit a portfolio as far as I'm aware. I mean, no one has told me that they have to do like any prior to be, but that's quite interesting how it's done in other countries. So that's why I wanted to ask basically how it's done at yours. Shall I continue with questions or want to switch?
What I have a few questions for you.
Yeah,
So I'll maybe give you one or two. So my
sure.
question is, I believe everyone has just such a personal sketching style, and you can definitely see yours. So your sketches are recognizable from another artist or another designer, and I think that's a beautiful thing. How did you develop that personal sketching style?
Yeah, I think that's a question that a lot of people like ask because everyone wants to have this like personal touch to things. And to be honest, it's like sometimes I don't even realize that I have like this kind of personal way of sketching, if you know what I mean. Like I'm
100%. Yeah.
adding some things in and see how it looks. If I like it, I'm just continuing in the same manner. But my sketching has evolved as well because I started with pretty like minimalistic like sketches with less detail. I started introducing some materials like pen Tipex. I don't know if you realized, but I use like gel pen, use like Tipex as well on top of my sketches. And I'm like a fan of like mixed media. I think this comes from like my textile background because I also did textile photography. So I really like layering things, and like something. So I think it's just come from practice, to be honest. Like the more you do it, the more materials you introduce and stuff. I think that's how it happens. At least that's how it happened to me. But I think a lot of people get really attached to like having this personal touch to things, and you can be so attached, to that because it need time. You need to evolve in order to have this like personal style. Hopefully that answers the question.
No, it does. You can definitely see if you like scroll through your Instagram, for example, progress and development. I think that's really special.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you scroll down last year, my sketches look horrendous. Like they look, but they're still there because I show people, if you do it frequently, regularly, and you improve, and that's what happens. So I think it's not about perfection, it's about process. Most of the times, 99% it is process. So yeah. You can hear me? Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, you just went out a little bit there. Um,
that's fine.
so I guess my second question is based on that, you let in perfectly. Um, and you're practicing sketching, and where do you look for inspiration, and how do you stay motivated to constantly practice and develop those skills? Because I personally find it difficult.
I I think for me it's quite easy because I've been in art forever, since I remember myself. So for me, art is my therapy. It's that I just love doing, and I think I never feel like demotivated to sketch, if that makes sense. Actually, it never demotivates me. Like I always want to improve, I always want to sketch out. Uh, when it comes to taking inspiration, to be honest, again. anything that I like. It could be like a film, for instance, like with Friends series, you know, the reunion was coming, and I thought, oh, it would be cool to do something like this, or Sex in the City as well, or this new course that I'm recording based on Devil Wears Prada. All these like films and TV shows that just make me, you know, happy, and I get inspired by them. I try to basically create something based on that. Also using Pinterest. I think a lot of people use Pinterest as well nowadays to, you know, get inspiration from. And I think also the fact that I'm traveling at the moment, you know, from places to places, I get inspired by, you know, architecture and different interiors, different Airbnbs where I'm staying at, you know, so that kind of like inspired me to, yeah, to sketch. So it's never been really like an issue to, yeah, inspire myself to keep doing it. It's always been something that I just really, really love. I think the motivating part is then obviously selling my course. I keep saying, because it's a difficult a task that I have to do every day. But actual process, you know, actual sketching process, I enjoy and I love. So I think that's just me, and it's always been part of me. So yeah. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Perfect.
I just
Right. Maybe
add that,
I can ask
yeah, I
you
guess
a
that
few more
comes
questions.
super easy, and you can tell that it is difficult. You want to, and you mentioned it on your past stories, you love to sketch and you love to draw, but it's hard to market, and
Yeah.
it's challenging. So,
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's hard to market, and I think that's what I mean, people get put off by you know, things like that. You know, these challenging parts which are selling, and you know, business is about selling, right? So I mean, that's the only challenging part in it, to be honest. Everything else comes, you know, coming up with ideas, filming courses, whatever it is outside, you know, besides selling is easy. You know, creating content, but yeah, there's much more, unfortunately, that goes with this. So I also wanted to ask you a question as well. Alongside sketching, softwares do you use to communicate your ideas?
percent. So for softwares, I definitely agree. Sometimes with hand sketching comes digital softwares, and that's just kind of a hand in hand thing. I right now at the moment am pretty fluent in in Autodesk AutoCAD,
Ah, yeah. Hmm.
and SketchUp for 3D visualization. But I'm working on right now learning Autodesk Revit to sort of replace those two and
Mm-hmm.
just standard at the moment, as well as softwares like InDesign and Photoshop for those presentations. But
Mm-hmm.
and of course, hand sketching comes in to play because I always like to start with a rough sketch beforehand, even if it's illegible, just to get my ideas out on paper before I turn to that computer to sketch or, sorry, to draft.
Mm-hmm.
As it's just a different process between your mind and the paper than your mind and the computer. And I
Yeah,
think quite a few people and my colleagues have talked about that process as well.
that's really cool, because it seems like operate in, you know, quite a few softwares, and I know SketchUp is popular with sort of visualizations. And what would be your preference, like hand rendering or digital methods? I mean, I know, as you said, they come hand in hand, or maybe you can describe which one you with, and yeah, what's your preference in general when it comes to these two?
If I prefer hand or digital?
Yes.
Yeah, so for any technical drawings, plans, schedules, anything like that, things that are going to be going to the trades, I prefer digital
Mm-hmm.
because it's just so much easier for me to get the precise measurements and easily make
Yeah.
changes. A lot more difficult with hand drafting, but I always prefer hand drawing and rendering over everything. Uh, it's more enjoyable for me, as well as uh, it adds such a personal touch. And I think in the future, definitely, and right now, professors and teachers and clients love to see that
Yeah,
because you can tell that there's a lot of hard work put into it.
definitely. I think it's very trendy in general, and I think I mean everyone, I mean who studies interior design sort of can use AutoCAD or learning sketch, but sketching is something quite unique. I mean every single person wants to learn, but not every single will, you know, find a way how to learn it. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, is to help these people, you know, to learn. Because I know it can be daunting, you know, when you don't know where to start with and you've got no clue how to apply perspective at all, you know. I think it comes really handy in that sense. But so you prefer hand sketching because it adds kind of that personal touch and it looks like more atmospheric. Would you say that would be... Oh, I lost you, or you're still here?
Yeah, I'm here. It's just you're spinning. Can you hear
I'm
me?
Yes, yes. I'm wondering if it's my connection. Could it be? Uh,
Maybe.
or either. Anyway, it doesn't. I can. No, it's yeah, it's great because I of course prefer sketching as well. What I do, and I haven't actually tried SketchUp. I think I signed up to some course before, it was like a free trial or something, but I never really got to it, to be honest. But I think other students, you know, manage to produce, and I think having as many skills as possible, you know, as an interior designer is very valuable. You know, not just stopping at, you know, like a digital method or just sketching. You know, if you can do both, yeah, and if you use both of these, I think you're up for success in my case, because you can always find way how to communicate with your clients. You can do either or, and I'm sure, I mean, most people, you know, consume information like visually, right? Like 90% of us. I mean, Pinterest, Instagram, yeah, we all love, you know, like visuals. So I think sketching is something that's very fashionable at the moment. And yeah, if you look at your feed as well, I don't know if you have any SketchUp actually images there, but I could only see sketches. Maybe I haven't paid attention to every single one, but it seems I can see that you prefer hand sketching because obviously it's predominant in your feed.
Anything architecturally, I believe I do have like a cottage design that I did in an architecture class, and I believe I did a 3D model of that because it's so much easier to just extrude the walls and
Yes.
makes it easy. But I have seen people use both SketchUp and drawing combined. So people who struggle with the perspective aspect,
Yeah.
but are details and the textures, will model their space, print it out, and draw over. So there's just
Mm.
so much to,
Oh,
like you
yeah.
said, yeah, there's so many ways to mix both.
Mix both. Yeah. And I think it's a very artistic process to, you know, mixed media, right? It doesn't matter for, you know, you're sketching on top of maybe like a digital render or vice versa. It doesn't matter because it's still creative and artistic process you can, yeah, do basically in your work. I think that's great, to be honest, that you can find ways of how to use either. Right. Should I move on with my last you, or if you want to ask me some, and then we'll come back to you?
I guess I could ask you one, whatever you prefer.
I
Um,
think maybe, yeah, you can ask, and then I will leave my last one to the end.
So, in your experience teaching sketching, what are the reasons that designers and professionals want to learn this skill if they don't already have it?
Yeah, that's a question actually. The main reason why designers want to learn is because they want to, first of all, develop like their personal sort of style, you know, in sketching. That's the first one, I think. Second one is to be able to visualize your ideas quickly. That's probably the most important, actually, aspect. That should be the first one. To communicate ideas quickly to your client, you know, they're on a spot whilst you're having a meeting, maybe after, whatever. Sketching is very different, right? Sketches take in like 1 minute, you know, to like 4 or 5 hours, right? Like you can spend as much time as you want on it, depending on what you want to create. So I think these are like the two sort of top aspects. I don't think of anything else. Maybe I also because they see sketching as something that is very relaxing, it's like therapy, it's something it's like an artistic process which they enjoy doing outside of, all of their assignments that they have to, submit, or maybe client, working with clients. I mean, I hear a lot from most of my students saying, that once you become a designer, it's not as much like artistic or creative sort of process that you do. It's more like communicating with the clients, and solving their problems and trying. So I think it gets sometimes a little bit demotivating in a way, when you're a very creative person and you really want to sort of experiment and add something else into work. So I think these are the three main points why they start sketching, why they sign up to my courses.
And it's definitely the most relaxing aspect of the field is that
Yeah,
sketching part.
it's amazing, right? It's like therapy. Yeah, it's amazing.
On top of that, what challenges when people are learning to sketch for the first time do they have to overcome or do they face when
Yeah,
they've never before? And how do
yeah,
you help them?
yeah. Based on my experience, the biggest challenge for most of my students is self. And I know it sounds a bit cliche, but actually it's very. I see like so many of my students like learning to sketch, do it so well, but they still don't implement it in their work because they're too scared to sketch in front of clients. And I'm telling them, well, why the hell did you sign up to the courses? If you're not using the skill, you need to use the skill. So self-doubt and like these emotional barriers that my students have to undergo, even when they're purchasing the first course, like that's the hardest, to purchase that first course, to overcome, the fact that, maybe you have zero prior drawing experience, you got no clue, and you feel, oh, I'll be a failure. I think this is the biggest challenge that I have to work with when it comes to, selling as well my courses and being there to help my students out. And yeah, so it's all about like these emotional blocks that we put into our heads and that stop us from achieving our dreams and just going for it. There's nothing else. It's not technical, because you can always learn. Like, okay, maybe sometimes it takes you an hour to learn, some others might take 4 hours. Who cares, right? I mean, no one cares. If you're learning and you're getting, that's the most important part. No one will judge you because it took you, I don't know, 4 hours to draw a chair. As long as you got there, it doesn't matter how you got there, how long it took you, as long as you got there, So yeah, it's never the technical abilities of people. Never, it's always emotional blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I I can agree with you 100% there. I've had teachers, you're too in your head. Stop thinking so hard about it. And just do it and be confident in it, and that's how you're going to do your best.
yeah, I mean, we get so like what's the word? Worried, that we're going to fail. And I think sketching, we should never forget that it should be relaxed, and it's like going back to childhood in a way. When you never thought about what other people will think about you, or any rule, nothing. Because when you're a child, you want to do everything, right? Like you're just open and you're never scared to fail. When you're an adult, you're like, oh, I don't want to look like a loser. I want to be. So it's like that's the problem, and I think everyone should treat sketching yeah, as a process, as a creative, bringing you back to childhood when you didn't care about what other people think, So I think that's the most important aspect here. Right. I think I'm going to ask you the last question, which I'm very excited about, actually. Have you started implementing hand sketching into your work as an interior designer, if you're working on any projects, and how successfully? If not, how are you planning to use this skill once you complete your studies and you start getting projects in?
So obviously, I love sketching so much that I have implemented it into most of my projects, almost all of them that I've done so far. And so I have studio courses where I use sketching not as much in the beginning, but later on, I used it so often to communicate ideas with my teachers and colleagues because I can only talk and explain things so much. A picture or a sketch will say 1,000 more words than I ever can. And it's also super important, and you mentioned the aspect of confidence and self doubt, to be able to sketch on the fly in front of people. There was so much of that, and I'm not sure because it was online. I'm gonna guess that it would be the same way in the classroom on the chalkboard or the bulletin board. Um, but drawing and I explaining something and just we would pull up a whiteboard on Zoom and use the pointer to draw and explain your ideas. It's so important. And then also in the like the when you have your nice, precise final presentation that you submit, having those hand renderings that are impressive to you, but also
Yes,
to teachers. You want the first page of your design package to be this beautiful photo of your design. And if you do a hand render, it's even better because it's just unique and
definitely.
it adds a touch. And it always adds visual interest.
Definitely. And I think what you said is actually mega important. And I really hope that people who will watch us as well really focus on your words here, because I come across many different interior profiles like on Instagram, and most of them look the same, like the same. They have the same concept boards. They use Canva all the time. I use Canva too. I'm not saying you're not supposed to use Canva. Everyone uses Canva. It's an amazing tool, but you can always like find creative ways, to motivate and inspire yourself, like you said, to be proud of your own work, of what you're submitting there. And I think a lot of people think, oh, if no one else is doing sketching, I'm not going to do it either. I'm sure people who are watching me and following me and think, oh, I have to learn it, but it doesn't look like many people are doing it, so I'm not going to. And that's the biggest mistake, because you are going to compete against, potentially, against your classmates, whatever, other students, colleagues, whatever, not like competing in a bad way,
No,
but
no.
as in you need to stand out. And for instance, I don't know how sketching, how trendy sketching is in Canada, for instance, but in the UK, it's everyone wants to learn, but no one really knows how to. So I think that's why I sort of overtook this market, and now, of course, I expanded, and not just the UK, but initially I started in the UK because people just wanted to learn it, but they didn't know how. So I have a lot of students from like KLC, from BAID, from National Design Academy, and so on, all joining because it's something that they are not taught on their interior degrees. So I don't know how fashionable, should I say, sketching is in Canada.
It's about the same. I do have like quite a few colleagues that are, I only have to do sketching first year or second year, and then I don't have to worry about it. Then it's out of the window. And it's not something that I'm ever going to do again. Really unfortunate to see is that sort of mindset that it's something that I'm not going to use because it's so important in our field.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and as I said, like the more skills you have, more equipped will be as a professional. Sure, anyone who goes into interior design succeed, right? Even if you're a side business or whatever, most people who join interior design courses want to build their career around their family, have this kind of flexible working. I don't know actually how it is for you, but for instance, in the UK, most of the students who have are sort of like they want to build their careers around their family. So it's not like they want to do this like 9 to 6 job, so that's going to interior design. Is it the same actually for you? Was this like the main reason why you
It's
started?
definitely flexible. I know.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I'm here. I'm here.
Sorry, I missed your question. Do you mind repeating it?
Yeah, of course. I think the connection is breaking. I was saying about you. signed up to interior design course, what was the main reason why you signed up? Like, you always wanted to do interior design, or how did it happen?
I signed up because I love architectural design and I love art. And I really found interior sketching and rendering was the reason why I went into interior design.
Ah,
So that's why it really wasn't
that's
because
great.
the flexibility of the future career is just a bonus, really.
Yes.
I know some people you can work from home, you can work in the office, so it's so flexible to every kind of work style. But it was
Yes.
definitely the rendering. I want to be a professional renderer if that is ever a possibility. Um, and not
Definitely, it is a possibility. Your sketches are amazing. You can be definitely, if you continue, if you post even more sketches, and share your process, I'm sure definitely, it's all up to you. I mean, I see so many people, like so many different sketchers as well who are sketching, but they're just not developing their accounts and they think, oh, maybe I will not succeed. But really, I'm telling you now, your drawing is good. If you work on them, not on them, like if you continue in the same kind of way, I mean, if this is the main reason why you went into interior design, you're basically an artist in a way. So I mean, that's great. That's
and
amazing.
constantly learning from other people like yourself, uh, practicing because I will admit, and I think everyone who draws or does any kind of artistic has any kind of artistic talent, you're never 100% perfect and you can always learn, you can always do better. So if it's something that you're passionate about and it's something that you enjoy, why not invest the time and the effort and
De-
constantly you
Definitely, 100%. We actually have a comment
I,
from Carolina. Sketching is crucial in order to work out the final effect correctly and to direct your team and without wasting a lot of time and adding a lot of stress to those who work for you. That's a very good actually insight. That's a very interesting insight on that. Uh, that's great. Thank you so much for the comment. Actually, it's I think both of us know that as well. And I mean, yeah, there's just so many benefits to learning it. And people always think that because it might take a long time to learn, maybe it's not so important. It is, because once you learn it, you can do it very quickly, and you will be able to visualize quickly. And again, for drawing from your head, it's not something that comes very quickly. You really need to, yeah. I mean, for instance, to be honest, I don't draw from my head. I always draw from images, and people always think, oh, how do you draw from your head? Do you need to? I mean, it's so important. I mean, of course, if you sketch out like many furniture pieces and let's say design in your head, furniture design, of course, yes, you'll be able to draw it out because you practice so much that you can, like mix different elements and so on. But like, what do you think about this like concept of drawing from your
head. I The only time that I would ever, I guess, draw from my head is if I'm doing a napkin sketch. I'm gonna call it just a quick, rough drawing, trying to explain something, some kind of concept, and sometimes it doesn't make quite a lot of sense. Um, I would say, yeah, if I'm doing any kind of presentation drawing, I never sketch from my head. I always have reference photos.
head?
Your drawing is only reference photos. And yeah, only if I'm just doing a quick sketch will I draw from my head. I think it might be, maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe people who have been sketching for years and years and years can do it, and maybe one day I will. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, never put pressure on yourself. I mean, I always say to people, why do you need to complicate things so much? Why do you need to draw from your head now? Like, just enjoy, the process. Draw from different reference images. You can connect, like, like let's say you got two reference images. Like, take this sofa from this and this lamp from this image or whatever. I'm not saying to copy the exact same in front of you. No, use different elements, implement them, experiment with different angles. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. This is artistic. You're not just sitting there and thinking, oh, I'm going to create a masterpiece from my head. And it might not happen for you. So it's, you know, it's something you shouldn't expect.
I always have reference photos. I'll have, I like this layout from this angle, but I don't like that couch. I like this couch, and I like this,
Yes,
and it's just sort of you mishmash it together, and that's when it comes together beautifully, and you can see the detail and the texture because you can't always make that up, and how the light hits objects. It's difficult.
exactly. No, exactly. I think it's very important what you're saying here as well. Really hear it out, because I get quite a few messages about, you know, drawing from your head and how to do it, and if there's a course on how to draw from your head. And I'm telling people, you just have to, you know, yeah, just practice, draw from reference images. Why do you need to do it from your head anyway? And yeah, so I think it's a very important aspect to consider as well. I don't think I have any other questions from anyone else watching. By the way, those of you who are watching, if you want to throw a question in, please do. In terms of questions, I think my questions, I'm done with mine. Although I actually wanted to ask you about using markers for sketching. Have you been using markers throughout like your sketching journey, or you just started using them?
So I always did drawings. I started with pencil crayons, specifically Prismacolors. I had an old set that I got from my mom, and that's what I
Mhm.
used the longest time. And then I heard about markers and saw that from my drafting teachers and my interior design teachers that that was the way. In about, I would say I was maybe 12 or 13. And I asked for them for Christmas. And it was like a set of the touch markers. And I started practicing with them and using them and really got interested in it, and then invested in the liners and the Copics and all of those kinds of things. I definitely, it speeds up the process, which is really excellent. It takes about half the time to do a marker rendering than it does a pencil crayon rendering. But you can,
Yeah,
definitely love both, and I love mixing both. To add shadow, to add highlights. It's an excellent mixed media always.
yeah, mixed media. It is. I think markers are like so chic, you know, like they're so fashionable and they just look. I mean, I keep talking about fashionable and trendy because like I love fashion as well. I'm kind of like art and fashion together. And I just think markers are just like so neat and fresh and so just so good. I mean, I can talk about them forever. I just love the smell, the look, just everything about them. It's just amazing. And I think there's another comment from Carlina as well. Exactly, you need to experiment with different ideas and explore. It takes time, but in long run, it saves mistakes. Always go back to time, though. Yes, exactly.
I
Exactly.
can
100.
definitely touch on that. So in my interior design career so far, you work in three different views. I've noticed. So you're constantly going from plan to elevation to perspective, like three dimension, and you're
Yeah,
going back to the plan, and you need all three of those to create a really well done design. So
yeah,
100% always go back to the plan.
yes, definitely. I mean, yeah, there's just so many different ways and different views. That's why I love interior. They're so like complex and so sophisticated and so yeah, great. I mean, I always love a challenge. I love fashion illustration as well, but I always think that, you know, interiors are more complex, and that's why I kind of chose interiors because it's just like so many views and so many different elements you can keep adding.
There's so much
Yep.
more.
Have I lost you again?
No,
You're here. You're here. I can, yeah,
there's so much more detail in interiors. I can definitely agree with that.
yes, 100%. Right. So I'm just thinking we've got another 10 minutes or so until our live stream ends. Do
I
you have any questions to me at all? Or I
agree.
think I think we have covered pretty much everything, right?
I have my fifth question for you.
Ah, yeah. Go
So,
on.
fun, and we kind of have touched on this, but it's
Hmm.
definitely something I'm curious to know from your perspective. How do you feel about these digital methods of visualization gaining so much popularity in the design field?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to on that. So I personally, as I said, I feel that the more skills you have, like the more equipped you will be as a professional. So I would never choose like just like one way. You know, like, oh, okay, I can use SketchUp, I'm done. No, you know, you need to know how to do SketchUp, you need to know how to do AutoCAD, maybe Vectorworks, whatever, and sketching and so on, and keep like switching between them both. And you will feel more confident in yourself when you are able to, you know, work with all these different methods. And in terms of popularity, actually, I thought about why, you know, they're getting popularity, and of course, because we want to simplify things, right? Because we want to be able to create floor plans, and you know, so it doesn't take us as a long time. So let's say, yeah, if you're creating a floor plan, maybe you want to use AutoCAD, or draw it out. Of course, you can draw it as well. But when it comes to, let's say, presenting like a room, I would personally prefer to sketch it out than use, you know, anything else. And I don't know how long it takes to use SketchUp, but I really think that sketching is quicker than SketchUp, to be honest. I might be mistaken. No, but
You're going to put into it, but the more you practice with the digital software, the faster it's going to go. And definitely, it helps you stand out to use sketching. Yeah, I think as a visual person, you and I can
yeah.
probably both that if there were 100 pictures of interiors hanging on the wall, we'd be drawn to the ones that are sketched.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. When I look at profiles, interior design profiles, I'm looking for sketches all the time. And it's not because I'm an artist. Well, partly it's because I'm an artist, but it's because you're always looking for that uniqueness. Let's say a client is looking for you. Who will he or she? A person who has, you know, very similar to someone else. Um, like I said, like very similar to others, or a person who's an you know, experiment different skills that he or she have. I personally would be drawn to a person who can do everything: sketching, SketchUp, you know, digital methods, whatever it is, you know, anything. And I know some design studios as well, they even have an in-house sketcher, or someone who does it, you know, for them by hand. And I know interior sketch floor plans and elevations by hand, and that's why I did courses on that as well, you know, and want to learn how to do it by hand as well. So I mean, I think it's always beneficial to try out as many things as you can and see what works for you, you know. And I know we all, you know, trying to simplify processes, and we don't have enough time for, you know, do everything all the time. But I think as long as you're trying and as long as you're experimenting things, that's the most important part. You have to, you know, keep yourself inspired by what you're doing, right? If you're always doing the same, I don't know, maybe the same floor plan in AutoCAD, and you just keep doing this black and white, it's boring, right? Like you want to add this kind of like some color in and experiment and really, you make yourself feel, you know, like you're creating something rather than something very dull, boring, and uninteresting. So I think definitely, I think that would be my answer on that. So yeah.
I agree. I definitely appreciate how, because I feel like so many people who love sketching, myself included, and I try not to, like to bash the digital world, and I think that it's definitely important, but there's ups and downs to both. Like
Yes.
there's ones. I love how you touched on that. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm trying to
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think it's inspiring, you know, people to, yeah, do all these things, you know, and I'm trying to inspire others to understand that just because your program only teaches you SketchUp, it doesn't mean that this is the only program that you should use. You know, not at all. You know, go out there, explore. I mean, this is your career. You know, you're building a career. As an artist as well, I draw everything. I do portraits, I do illustrations, I do interior sketching, and now I focus on interior sketching. I really enjoy it, and I want to, you know, share my knowledge with other people because I see there's a demand for that. There's an interest in sketching. That's what I'm doing, what I'm doing basically. But you know, I love art as it is. You know, I love experimenting with different things, and sewing as well. Like textiles is something that I really enjoy. But to be honest, I've not been stitching for a long time now. But I used to. I used to quite often, and I think we always feel that, you know, art is something that is so undervalued and not appreciated as much as, you know, having stable career. It's really up to you, to make it happen, for yourself. And we should never forget about this creative side that we all have. And I think if you're trying to suppress this creative side, uh, nothing good will come out of that. I mean, right? Life is so miserable without colors and
You can't
creativity.
limit yourself. You have to explore those options and try those things.
Definitely, 100%. I'm so glad actually that we agree here, and it's quite inspiring your work and to see your views on it. It makes me feel inspired, that I hear words like this. So definitely. Right. I'm wondering if anyone might have any questions to us whilst we're still here. I'm gonna scroll up. I don't think there are any questions since the last one. Doesn't look like there is any. But yeah, I think talking about sketching in general is just it's a great topic to cover, and there's always something new that you can add. I mean, I've definitely took a few new points on sketching, and it sort of helped me as well build my business further because I need to understand what people need, like what you need,
Yeah.
designer. And because I'm trying to help out here, I'm trying to help you so get better at what you get, more creative and explore. So yeah, it's definitely been a very, very conversation. Do you have maybe any to me, maybe something that you haven't written, maybe you want to ask?
So I guess all I have to say left is that, I definitely really appreciate what you do with your business and how what you teach, what you're so passionate about. And you definitely help out people in the field. And I think that anyone from like my page who might have joined today should definitely, sign up for a few of your courses because I think there's a lot to learn. And I think that it would be super, super beneficial.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. I mean, that's important for me to hear. As you can see, I share my ups and downs on my stories all the time. And I like to be quite honest, about what I'm doing. And it's every message, every, inspirational, like, for or anything really helps me. Anything, sign up, any follow, any message, any like, it just really, it stays in my head. It's very important for me, sort of going and keeps me inspired. Who knows, we might do a collaboration together in the future, with our sketching skills. We might be able to come up with something. I think I'll definitely think of something in the future. It's been great, to be honest. Well, yeah, having this passion for as much as I'm passionate about it. So I'm so happy that we did this live stream. That this is the first one with Canada, so I hope that people have enjoyed. I'm sure people will watch us later as well because of Saturday. For most of us in Europe, it's evening, doing a drink or a dinner or something. But those of you who have been watching, thank you so much. And I will post this in my feed, and I will tell you as well if you want to post this chat. I'll let you know how to do that. So because it's under an hour, it's perfect because we can do it without any problem. But you will have to use your computer to do that. You will not be able to do it from your phone, but I will tell you how. So thank you so much again for agreeing to do this. You've
Thank
been
you
amazing.
on your
Don't
channel.
worry about the connection. Happens at every single live stream. Internet just lets us down, but it's been amazing. So thank you so much, and I'm wishing you a lovely weekend.
Wishing you a great weekend as well.
Thank you. Take care.